Good evening. My name is Shirley Jackson, and I will be the moderator for tonight's forum. And it's my honor to introduce two candidates running for the August primary for Livingston County Commissioner, District 4, Ella Nitikin and Meghan Williams. Candidate Wes Negagary was invited but did not respond. So thank you, candidates, for participating in this forum. Before we begin to hear from you candidates, it's important that listeners know the layout of what's going to transpire here. In the interest of fairness, candidates will be timed, and the order in which they will respond will rotate. Each candidate will have up to 1 minute to give an opening statement, up to 2 minutes to answer each question, and up to 2 minutes to give a closing statement. Questions were gathered from the general population or general public. Okay, I think listeners would now like to hear from the candidates. So we're going to start with opening statements. And Ms. Nitikin, would you please give your opening statement?
Yeah, thank you. My name is Ella Nitikin. I am running for 4th District County Commission. So I'm 23 years old, and I have a bachelor's degree in computer science from the University of Michigan Flint, as well as a minor in physics. I currently work in Flint as a IT consultant. So there's several reasons I decided to run. First of all, I wanted to try and bring a youthful perspective to the board because, most of the board is pretty old and they are all Republican. And, I think we need to represent everyone on our board. And I would also like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting on this forum and giving us this excellent opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much. And just to be sure on this, while we're recording, is that I can see myself as being the larger of the people showing, and when Ella is talking, I'd like to have her be the one who is showing her more than me. So I don't know if that's something that can be switched around at this time, but I'd like to now move on to Ms. Williams. If you would give your opening statement, please.
And okay, I see the timer. Hi, my name is Meghan Williams, and I'm 29 years old. I am a design engineer. I work in New Hudson at a high performance vehicle engineering and product development company. So it's pretty much my dream job because I am an automotive enthusiast. I grew up in Livingston County, actually in Marion Township, on a farm, the same farm actually that my dad grew up on. So I really love Livingston County, and I loved growing up here. I loved going to school here. I only left temporarily while I attended university. I actually went to Michigan Tech up in the UP. So I am really excited about the opportunity to potentially contribute more to the amazing community that we have here in Livingston County. So thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to move on to the questions, and to rotate the answers. We're going to have Ms. Williams answer first on question number 1. And the question is, what's happening in your district that is motivating your decision to run for a seat on the Livingston County Commission?
So in my district, oh, I'll wait till the timer. Okay, there we go. So in my district, I guess I should say the primary reason that I wanted to run was bring a new perspective to my district, to Livingston County, but to my district specifically. So I think I have a lot to offer in the Heartland area and in Osceola Township. Again, I grew up in Howell. I've been in the area for a really long time, almost my whole life. And I think what I have to offer is a new perspective, being my age and the experiences that I've had in life growing up in a different generation. And I think that will help bring some common sense leadership to my district and help bring just, a new perspective from a younger generation. I think, I've said that a couple times now, but that's what's kind of really important to me, to get out there. And the fact that I'm an engineer and was basically trained in critical decision making, I think is really important, because there are so many decisions that a county commissioner makes, obviously regarding the budget and a few other things too, but specifically when it comes to the budget, you're constantly making decisions of, is this worth the money? Is this not worth the money? How far can we stretch this money and bring the most value to the taxpayer while spending the least amount of money possible? So it's a major balance there. And I do think my training as an engineer is going to benefit the taxpayers greatly when it comes to making those hard decisions. So I think that is what I will bring to my district and to Livingston County as a whole. Thank you.
And thank you. Now, Ms. Nitikin, would you please answer the question?
Yes. So what's happening in my district right now? Well, I would say that there is a lack of road safety. That's one of my main motivations, and the lack of public transportation. So one example I want to give is actually last year, when someone was riding their bike down M59 in Heartland, and they were tragically killed. This happened across from the KFC there, and I found that the current county commission just wasn't too interested in dealing with these kinds of issues. So that's what really motivated my decision to run. And in addition to that, I also, I want to bring a new perspective. I believe I'm probably the youngest person running for county office this election cycle. So, like I said, new perspective. And finally, one issue that, there's just not very much public transportation around here. Grand River Avenue bus route was proved viable like 5 years ago, and it still hasn't been made into a reality, even though it would be a great benefit to people everywhere in the county, not just people along Grand River Avenue.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we're going to move on to question number 2, and Ms. Nitikin, you're going to answer it first. The question is, how would you describe the demographics of your commissioner district, and what do you identify as their top concerns? Pick one of these concerns and share what steps you would take to resolve it.
Yeah, sure. So the demographics of the commissioner district. Well, I will say that one of the important things is of the district is that, and this really applies for all of Livingston County, but a majority of the people here in Livingston County actually work outside of Livingston County, and that includes myself. You know, when I ask people, where they work, they usually say, like somewhere in Farmington Hills or in Pontiac, for example, or Ann Arbor. So, I think the top concern here is just the commute for these kinds of people who work so far away. And there is a few things that need to be addressed. For one thing, we have, a lot of people in the county don't have good high-speed internet, that would allow people to be able to work remotely. But in addition to that, like I said previously, we need better public transportation, and especially public transportation that focuses on getting people outside of the county, because a majority of people living in this county don't work in the county. I think it's like over 50%. Yeah, that's a majority. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. And now, Ms. Williams, would you please answer the question?
So, I really strongly believe from the people I have talked to so far, demographically, my commissioner district is pretty affluent, actually. When it comes to, finances, you think of it as a pretty stable area. And that is the case for, I would say, the majority of people living there. However, some people cannot afford to live there, or they are paying so much in either rent or their mortgage that they can't afford basic necessities. We all know how crazy this economy is right now. And the cost of living is just housing specifically is very expensive in my district. And that is definitely a number one concern that I've been hearing from the community members I've been talking to. So I think that there's a lot of ways a county commissioner can kind of tackle this issue. One of the biggest ones, as I even already mentioned before, is making the critical decision of saying, like, how much can we get per dollar? Like, what is this value? What is this worth? We need to use the taxpayers' money responsibly, but we need to be able to provide services to people. And just, I think my ability as a commissioner, that I work well with people. And I think being able to work with some other organizations, even as a volunteer, or a nonprofit, sorry, that's, working with nonprofit organizations or whatever, that I will have the ability to work with them both as a commissioner and as just an individual member in the community, which is definitely my intent. So I think that the cost of housing is definitely a main concern for, the people in the area who I've talked to, and commissioners have multiple ways to work with that. So I think that's the number one concern that I've been hearing. So thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we're moving on to question number 3. And Ms. Williams, you will be answering this one first. The question is there anything that you would recommend for the board to improve collaboration with the county departments when conducting the business of the county commission?
I think there's a few things I could recommend. So the biggest one would be that what I personally plan to do, and what I think the current commissioners could potentially benefit from, is listening, is really, really listening, and not, everyone has really strong opinions. I do, everyone does, and how they think the way the world should operate. Obviously we're all adults. We've had many years to form these opinions, and most of them are probably pretty valid, but it does not hurt to actually, open your mind and listen, which is what I absolutely plan to do. And that is why I am out talking to community members to see what the taxpayer wants, what community members actually want, for county commissioner representation and for just the county at large. So probably what I would recommend to improve collaborations is listening. I mean, I think that's a big one across the board in any area of government, business, anywhere, a friendship, relations with parents, friends, anyone. If you're trying to collaborate well with someone, you have to listen and be at least, a little open-minded. So I'd say that's probably a big one. Probably the biggest area of improvement I see when it comes to collaboration with, the question says other county departments, so you're talking townships, or, the drain commission, whoever. When it comes to collaboration, you've got to listen, you've got to have a little bit more of an open mind. That is definitely what I plan on doing, should I be elected. And that's what I would recommend. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, Ms. Nitikin, I don't want to mispronounce your name, but I want to make sure that you have full time for answering the question as well.
Okay, so what I would recommend for the board to do is to, I think we really need to just let the departments do their jobs. Like, I mean, I will just say this, the people that work in the county department, that work at LETS, at the court, at the health department, they are good, qualified people. And what we really need to do is to stop politicizing them so much. I think we all remember what happened during COVID when the health department just got so politicized, and when we politicize things like the health department, that keeps them from being able to tackle important issues like the opioid crisis in the county. A lot of people don't realize this, but yes, there is an opioid crisis here. And, if we sit there and politicize the health department, they can't do anything about it because they're too busy being politicized and having, the county commission micromanage them. It's just not good. But the other thing about, listen to the concerns of the people running the county departments, and just, hire qualified people and then let them do their jobs is basically what I'm saying here.
Okay, thank you very much. We're now going on to question number 4. And Ms. Nitikin, you'll be answering it first. The question is, Livingston County has 3 specialty courts: the drug court, intensive treatment mental health court, and veterans treatment court. Do you think these courts are a success, and would you support funding in the budget for staffing to keep them going? And please explain your reasoning. Okay.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. They are, I think they are, at least somewhat of a success. I've heard people talk about how much these courts have helped them and how much of an impact it has made in their lives. I don't have too much personal experience with these courts, but I've definitely heard people talk about how they have made an impact, and they absolutely need to have proper funding. So they shouldn't have their funding cut out from under them, and they, I think that's just a given that, departments can't do their jobs without being funded properly. I think that's just, I don't know what else to say about it. Just, they need to be funded properly, obviously.
Okay, thank you. And now, Ms. Williams, would you please answer the question?
I don't see the timer going yet. Do you want me to start? Oh, there it is. Okay, thanks.
Sorry about that.
So from the first-hand accounts I have heard from people who utilize the Livingston County court system, the courts here are doing a much better job, a more proficient job. They are more expedient than like all of the surrounding counties. From specific firsthand accounts that I've heard, I'm not trying to cite any specific statistics I have read or reports I have read. These are firsthand accounts that I have heard, word of mouth, from people who have actively been going through the courts. So I just want to just make that clear. And the Livingston County courts are doing a great job compared to the surrounding counties. So with that said, absolutely, I would continue to fund the courts and give them the staffing budget that they need to continue doing a fantastic job. And I'm not, trying to pay lip service here, but it's kind of one of those things where you just have to use a little bit of common sense to say, like, it's incredibly important. I mean, so much travels through our court system that keeps our county going, keeps our residents going, that yes, they need the funding. I mean, obviously, again, it always comes back to what, how are we spending the taxpayers' money, and we need to be spending it responsibly. But when it comes to the courts, I would support funding them for the staffing budget that they require to keep our county going, at least at the pace that they're doing now, if not better, because they're already doing a pretty fantastic job from, again, the firsthand accounts that I have heard. So thank you.
Okay, and thank you very much. Question number 5 is coming up, and Ms. Williams, you will be answering it first. Question is, would you support the recommendations of the Livingston County Master Plan that may require increased funding to address public transportation and ensure safe pathways for biking and walking needs in Livingston County? Explain why or why not.
I can say that I would support the recommendations. Obviously, I think that word recommendations is pretty important there, because I think it would be very expensive to put bike lanes on every single road in Livingston County. Like, we are kind of a driving county. A lot of places to get where you need to go, you need to drive there. It's just not possible to take a bike. And as much as I would love to have bike lanes for safety and more reliable public transportation, and I do think there's areas we could absolutely improve, that the taxpayers asking for, that we have the budget for. There are areas to improve for sure, but it really, they're gonna have to set out. I think you're really gonna have to sit down and go through the budget pretty carefully when it comes to spending that amount of money. And I think it's important to remember is that even though I would support taking their recommendations, it's not gonna happen in a day. Obviously, that's the whole point of the master plan. And I would absolutely recommend checking out their surveys too. Just if there are areas that people are concerned with, it's pretty interesting to be able to point out where you think that the county could use improvement for road traffic, bike lanes, public transportation, things like that. So yeah, absolutely. They are specifically reaching out to the taxpayer to hear from the taxpayer what they want in public transportation and road infrastructure. And that's fantastic, because that makes the county commissioner's jobs a lot easier. Obviously, when it comes to hearing directly from the taxpayer. But it's not going to happen in a day that we get bike lanes on every road. So thank you.
Okay, and thank you. Now, Ms. Nitikin, would you please answer the question?
Yes, absolutely. We need more public transportation and more safe pathways for biking and walking. There's just no question about it. I mean, I think we all remember the news story that came out recently of the, kid that got hit in Pinckney, and that just is awful. And, I think there could be something said about the biking and walking infrastructure, but I just want to point out that if you go east on M59, M59 just does not have good bike infrastructure. But the moment you cross the county line into Oakland County, boom, bike lane. It's you get into M50, you get into Oakland County, and there's a bike lane. So I think if they can do it, so can we. And it's really important because it's really a safety issue. I mean, how many people have died getting hit by a car? And of course, public transportation needs to be improve too, absolutely. You know, the hours don't run late enough. We have really limited service on weekends, and we still don't have any fixed bus routes. I mean, the transportation master plan in 2018, where they recommended the Grand River Avenue route, you know, I think that's a good start, but we haven't even done that yet. You know, we need to, you know, these things are just so overdue.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we're going to be going on to question number 6, and Ms. Nitikin, you will be answering it first. The question is, Michigan Lakes and Streams reports that Michigan is the only state without a statewide sanitary code, meaning that it's left to local governments to decide whether to regulate septic systems. What is the appropriate role of the county in this matter?
Well, you know, I don't have too much experience with this topic. So basically, you know, I think the county should make sure to, so first of all, you know, county governments aren't really a legislative body, so it's kind of hard to regulate stuff like that. But, you know, we can help the set guidelines that the townships and the cities can adopt to, you know, to try to make sure things like that are safe. And yeah, I don't know too much about this topic though, so that's the best I can give you right now.
Thank you. Okay, and Ms. Williams, would you please answer the question?
Yes, so when it comes to the county's role in this matter, it goes back to what I think question number 2, when it comes to collaboration. The county is in charge of, you know, finances and things like that. So, on a countywide level, and they're going to be the ones, we just actually saw this recently, they're going to be the ones to provide additional funding to townships when there are problems with septic stations and septic systems in specific townships that the townships operate. And it definitely comes back to collaboration and working well with other townships to ensure that everyone has the funding, because the thing is, if one township is on the brink of a disaster from a septage issue, that kind of affects the whole county. It's really not just, you know, we could say like, oh, you know, let that township figure it out. Sorry, figure it out. But like, how is that good government? So it really comes to collaboration to work with townships when they have these issues, and just deciding like, what can our dollar get us? Can it fix this issue without an undue burden on the taxpayer? And sometimes the answer may be obvious, and I'd say most of the time it's not going to be obvious, but that's what the county, that's what the Board of Commissioners are there to do, is to answer those hard questions when it comes to financing and working with townships to make sure that the county is safe and that the septic systems are all safe and the county is clean.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we are on our last question, question number 7. And Ms. Williams, you will be answering it first. The question is, a number of your voters are tired of partisan and political stalemate. Do you think the county commission as a whole serves the best interest of all the county voters? And if so, provide examples of how that occurs. And if not, why not?
I think the wording of this question is really important, because the county commission, if you're just talking in broad terms, yeah, obviously they are supposed to represent every single taxpayer in the county, not just the people who vote for them. And this question specifically asks about, do you think the county commission as a whole services? So I guess I'm not sure exactly if the question is referring to our specific board, our current members right now in Livingston County, or just the role of a county commissioner in a broad sense, or county board in a broad sense. And I'd say, yeah, the county commission, the board of commissioners in a broad sense should actively be representing every member of the community, not just the people who vote for them. So in relation to if our current board is doing that, I'd say it could be better. Representation could be better. And I certainly plan on representing all of the taxpayers in Livingston County. I don't want to only focus on the people who vote for me, because then you just become kind of an echo chamber, right? If everyone on the board only represents people who vote for them, and they only focus on those people, I'd say you're not doing your job, and you're just, an echo chamber. And there's a lot more to it, in my opinion, than that. So yeah, I think that's about what I have to say for that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And now, Ms. Nitikin, would you please answer the question?
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, I agree that like a lot of voters are tired of this partisan stalemate. I don't know if I would really call it a stalemate though, because we have a very one-sided board. It's Republicans and only Republicans. So that's, I mean, obviously there's going to be some different perspectives among those board members, but, we have one perspective, and that's old Republicans. We need a variety of perspectives on the board, and, I sometimes, they manage to serve the best interests, but oftentimes I think they don't. I mean, I've touched on the politicization of the health department that occurred. I've, I think we've all read about the lawsuit between the county courts and the Board of Commissions. Another issue that a lot of people don't know about is the lawsuit between the Board of Commissioners and Heartland Township regarding the septic receiving station. There's just like a lot of this stuff, and there is a lot of national political issues being fought about in the Board of Commissioners. I think it is very important that as commissioners we should be representing everyone, regardless of whether they voted for us or not. Just representing the interest of everyone, because oftentimes I feel like that doesn't happen really.
Okay, thank you very much. We are now finished with all of our questions for this evening, and I want to thank both of you candidates for your in-depth answers. That's been highly appreciated. So now it's time for closing statements, and the closing statements are going to begin with Ms. Nitikin.
So yeah, first of all, I want to thank the Livingston County League of Women Voters for giving us this amazing opportunity to, to share our perspectives with the people in Livingston County. I think, there is, a great opportunity for some change here in the representation of our district, whether you are a Democrat or a Republican. We have some great opportunities. I feel like we could be focusing a lot more on local issues such as public transportation and affordable housing, and and the opioid crisis and high-speed internet and fixing the roads and safe bike and pedestrian infrastructure. That's what I'm all about. Uh, you know, labor and yeah. But yeah, I want to thank the league for giving us this opportunity. If you want to learn more about me, my website is voteforella.us with a number 4. And yeah, thank you. And I hope I can get your vote come this November. Uh, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And now, Ms. Williams, may we please have your closing statement?
Yeah, of course. I just want to emphasize one more time that Livingston County is a great county to live in, to work in. We have a lot going for us. Great schools, great open spaces and agriculture and parks, great county employees and or countywide township employees working really hard to keep this county what it is. And although I'm running to bring a new perspective in some areas of government, I just want to emphasize that Livingston County is great. And I would love to have the opportunity to keep it that way and to contribute in a new way, which is really why I'm running, just because I feel called to serve my community in a new way. And I do think that some of my attributes and my integrity, decision-making skills, the experiences that I've had in life, I think all that's going to contribute really well to a cohesive county. So I would really love your vote on August 6th in the primary election. And I just want to say thank you so much for having me. And I do really appreciate this opportunity to talk to you and to get my name out there. Campaigning is not always easy, but this has been a great experience so far. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
And thank you right back at you. So, and thank you to both of you for participating in this valuable session. We really appreciate it from the standpoint of the league and the voters in general. And now Claire Donovan will now provide closing comments. Claire?
Yes, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that promotes voter education and participation. We host candidate forums and publish the online voter guide, vote411.org, to help voters make an informed decision. Now, I want to also point out that we very much want to thank the candidates for participating with us this evening. The forums and community members and people who submitted questions. Please urge others to view our forums at the League's website. Most importantly, please vote in the August 6th primary election, either by absentee ballot or in person. Thank you for attending, everybody, this evening.